Good morning, Mike.
Good morning, guys. How you doing?
We're pretty good.
Doing well.
Yeah, I wanted to start
doing great.
what you said after the game yesterday about how that was actually one of your favorite games of the year. And specifically, I want to talk about resiliency because I went back and looked, and I think that's the sixth time this season that your team has lost the first game of the series and then come back to win the series in the end. What is it that you see? You've been a manager for a while. You've been in baseball for pretty much your whole life. What is it that makes a team resilient and able to bounce back when things aren't going well?
I don't know if it's as much resiliency as it can be the word I'd use. It's kind of hard to maybe articulate exactly the right word, but it's really about just the consistency of competition and showing up every day to compete to win. And if you do that, I mean, let's face it, you're going to lose some games, right? I mean, there's 162 of them, so you're going to lose the first game of the series. Ball didn't bounce your way for whatever reason. But if you're consistent with your preparation, dedication, competitiveness, then you give yourself the best chance to win, regardless of what's taking place. So it can come across as resiliency, but there's a front end to it as well, where which we just taken care of the last three games on the good side of the column, the win column, and that allows you to do that more consistently. So when you don't win or you don't start the game well, and then you come back and say, okay, we got to keep going, got to keep going, got to keep going, got to figure it out, then you're able to play consistently, win more, and then overcome when you don't get a win. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It absolutely does. And consistency is something, I'll tell you, Shildt, it's been talked about so much with this team this year, and your consistency as well, consistency in the lineup, and the lineup questions. I mean, I said it yesterday. It's getting a little tedious at times. I'm sure it is for you too, with everybody asking you, the lineup this and who's going to play and when. But I did want to ask, it's the advantage you have now with maybe some other players that you didn't have going into the break. He's one of the most talked about players in baseball. Of course, I'm talking about Luis Arraez, not by just our fan base, by others. He's such an interesting guy, 3-time batting champ. We know all the accolades. They talk about lineup optimization. And I wanted you to, if you could, explain to the millions of people that have been tweeting us about optimizing the lineup with Luis Arraez in the 2-hole and kind of what you see from him in that spot.
Yeah, I listen, I don't read a lot of the stuff. I'd probably go pretty crazy. I know there's a lot of passionate people that care highly about our team, which is fantastic, and we're grateful for that. And one of the greatest things, one of my many mentors in this game was Whitey Herzog, Hall of Fame manager, and when I first started managing, struggling with some of the criticism just inherently come with the job, and I didn't struggle too bad with it because I was taught by some other people how to handle it. But one thing that Whitey said to me that was really helpful was, appreciate the fact that the people have an opinion, and that's how people were into it. The market I was in was pretty passionate too, and also the fact that everybody's played the game or has some connection to the game growing up, and they have an opinion and they care, and just appreciate that. So it always kind of helps me that that's real. As far as the lineup construction goes, I do think people take it to an extreme level, and I get the passionate side of it, but the knee jerk of whatever sample size is, 2 games, 3 games. I mean, it's really, quite honestly, can be unfair to a point, because listen, these guys aren't machines. I'm not one either. We put our best foot forward every day. I can promise you that. And we're always looking the best way to compete and use our pieces. And frankly, I feel pretty good about it now. Specific to the lineup, specific to Louis, again, human being that is a well-established guy in our clubhouse, a well-established guy in this league, a guy that has to be considered very highly on the other side, and we compete. A guy that the day we traded for him last year, we had the winningest record in all of baseball from the moment we got him to the end of this regular season. We're doing okay this year, I think.
Yeah.
and he's won 3 batting titles, in a row. So there's just ebbs and flows that come with the season. And the wrap-up point, so, listen, can we move him? Absolutely. Have we? Yeah, we have. We've actually played with the lineup a couple of different times. The fact of the matter is, lineups are very fluid. Like I said, they're people. They're humans. I was asked last week about Manny. He's got 1 RBI in August. I said, well,
right.
You'll probably talk to me next week if you can remember, and he'll have 8. Hit 3 yesterday. You think anybody asked and said, hey, man, you stuck with Manny. He only had 1 RBI for the first 2 weeks of August. And I was starting to get some, like, what's going on? I'm like, he's fine. The game's hard. And, there's a confidence factor. I mean, the wrap-up point to this whole thing, and we could talk about it, for a while. And I get the question, but how would people feel in their own occupations if they've had a lot of success and something didn't go well for some small period of time? Now, look, we all know, I know, there's not infinite amount of, like, you get a chance, you got to produce. I get it. We get it.
Yeah.
We understand very clearly our level of production relative to, continuing to do what we do. But how would you feel if the equivalency of anybody listening had won 3 batting titles in their jobs and lined out and just didn't get a break here or there? And it's not really about Louis. It's about anybody,
Yeah.
And then somebody said, hey, you gotta, you're no longer the CEO, you're, like, it just wouldn't, it's not fair. It wouldn't be fair. Now, again, it's not unlimited. There's production that needs to take place, but that's the way I see about lineups. And I do feel like my style, at least, is to trust our people, trust our players. And over the course of a season, when players feel safe and comfortable and know they're valued appropriately, and you're going to stick with them reasonably. And this is big picture. It's not to Louis. Like, Louis doesn't even come to my mind, which probably blows people away. Like, Louis, who doesn't want Luis Arraez up? Puts the ball in play, competes his tail off, is actually at 417 against lefties runner scoring position. Who doesn't want that guy up? I do. But anyway, I don't know if that answered your question or not. Kind of a longer
It does.
answer.
It's just such a fascinating. He's such a fascinating guy, and it's not just Padres fans. It's across the board. I mean, it's national media guys trying to figure out these days what the value is of a guy like Luis Arraez. And I talked to his previous manager about him too, and he speaks the same. Says the exact same thing about him. For you, having to make that decision. That's the question I always want to know.
Well, that's not a hard decision. The guy won 3 batting titles. I don't understand what I understand. I guess I understand. It's about my production. I watch the games. He lines out a lot. He puts the ball in play a lot. He's second in Major League in the National League with multiple hit games behind Trey Turner. He's defensively in the last almost 3 full months since the beginning of June. He's got the second most outs above average at first base. He's playing excellent first base, second in baseball. I mean, and he's an energizer for our team, and guys love him, and he brings positive energy and competes his tail off. I don't know what the debate is about, quite frankly.
Yeah, fair. And that my thing was, when I said the decision, I meant the decision if for whatever reason you have to move him or you did, and because like you said, he's hit clean up a couple times or whatever, does that kind of decision that you have to make Is that a hard conversation with a guy like Luis Arraez or anybody with many years in the league?
Yeah, of course. I mean, so, but again, it's just, my point is, about the whole thing is like, I don't live in a knee-jerk world. It's as simple as that. Now,
Right.
people may or not appreciate that. You're not going to please everybody. If that conversation has happened with any player, which they have happened, we have moved guys around a little bit. But I am looking for longer-term consistency. And you talk about resiliency. Part of resiliency is people being in a good headspace and knowing what they're going to have when they show up at work, and be consistent and feel safe and know they're going to be able to be trusted. That's a good mental headspace for a player and a team. What's not a good mental headspace consistently is knee-jerk reaction to, I don't know what externally is out there. That's not my purview to manage. I'm not going to manage to the Twitter world or whatever that is. I'm going to manage to what we, our staff, including our front office, has put this team together, and do the best I can. And I don't know, we're playing for first place tonight in our division for as close as this team's been since 15 years. So I mean, I don't know.
I get it.
Talking with Padres. Go ahead. Sorry, Mike. We're talking with Padres manager Mike Shildt. The manager's report refreshed by Eco Water SoCal. So here it comes again. LA Dodgers. I think this is another great opportunity, obviously, for your team. Now you get them at your place as opposed to last weekend. We know last weekend didn't go the way you wanted it to, as you said. What, if anything, do you guys need to do differently, though, as opposed to what happened last weekend? Because it's going to be a lot of the same matchups that we saw, of course, against the same team in such a short period of time.
We just need to get off to a better start. I mean, all three games we were playing behind the whole series. We just couldn't get a lead. We had one lead to start the series. Lorana hit the home run off Kershaw, foul pole, and then went back and gave up two, and we tied the game for half an inning in the third game, and so we played 3 games with one lead for an inning and one tie game for an inning, and just so we got to be able to figure out a way to make sure we keep them at bay early, and we get on top and just play the style of game that we need to play. Otherwise, it was a pretty evenly matched series. We just couldn't get on top of it.
One of my favorite moments from that series was Wandy Peralta opening just incredible. I mean, I thought he was incredible. The way that he's pitched, Shildt, since May? I think you were talking about the other day. He's been unbelievable. Mm-hmm. And that strategy, listen, everybody gets such a kick out of you get a new toy or you get a new idea. But I thought that really was effective. And is that something that you guys will look at? I know you're always looking for new ways to win a ball game, certainly, but that looked pretty good to me, and I think a lot of people out there.
Yeah, because it worked. If it didn't, you'd probably get roasted. Right? I mean, that's the thing about it.
How'd you know?
I call this show every 2 weeks.
It's a great answer.
I know
got to give you that one.
15 minutes of conversation.
Mike, I want to follow up on something you just said about playing with a lead. Psychologically, obviously, you want to have the lead because you can't win the game unless you're ahead. But do you notice that teams play differently when they're behind a couple of runs versus ahead a couple of runs? Is that pressure real, and does it change things over the course of a game, just being ahead by whatever it is, knowing that the other team has the pressure on them now?
Yeah, that's real. I mean, you look at, which I do, and a lot of games are won statistically. Every game has its own life, of course. But you look at the win probabilities after the 6th with a run lead or 2-run lead, 3-run lead, the 6th. You're going to win 60% of your games. 60% of your games plus, depending on the margin of lead. It comes into play even more with our bullpen. Our bullpen's obviously really, really good. Not infallible, but, very, very good. And so, yeah, but that's the part of the resiliency that you let off with is if you can compete, and this is way harder and easier said than done, but, it is something that one of the reasons I was pleased with yesterday. Day game after a night game, like, people think, oh, you should always perform, you should always be at your best. Well, those are hard turnarounds. These guys think about, Manny hadn't, right or wrong, he likes to play. That part's right, but he's participated in every game. We've used the DH to give him the appropriate days off his feet on the field. But, the point being is you're going to play 2 games within 24 hours. Okay. And then to get down, what we compete against, talk about fairly a lot is, it's no longer the physical ability that's distinctive. You're in the big leagues, so people are super physically talented. So how consistently are you bringing emotionally and mentally to use your physical ability for whatever you have that particular day? And if you get down like yesterday, that's why I said it was one of my favorite games, is because we get down and we're like, and didn't play as well, and early, wasn't as clean as we would have liked it to be, and nobody went, not our day. We actually, the converse of, we're like, come on, we got to figure it out, and we did. Now there's no guarantee to that, because the other teams have some ability too, and they have a say in the outcome. But I can tell you, when you have that mentality and you're not looking to give anything away in competition, if you get down, it's like, okay, we got to figure it out. If you get up, it's not enough. So there's a hunger factor that individually and collectively as a team, this team has, and it's a great trait.
Last one.
Yeah, go
last
ahead,
one for
Woodsy.
me. So I just had just a quick, easy one. I wanted to just see how Michael King's doing, and Jackson Merrill, of course. Obviously want those guys healthy for the stretch run, because the stretch run is a real thing, and playoffs loom in the future. Want to make sure those guys are doing well and on the right track.
Jackson is. We'll see today. Today's going to be a big day for him. The good news for Jackson is there's nothing structural or torn, or nothing that is looming on anything that's longer term that's going to prevent him to compete at some point relatively soon. It's just a matter of how he's healing and his capabilities, and he's a tough kid, as we all know, and really, really wants to be in the competition with his teammates. We just got to figure out at what point, is he going to be able to manage what he has and still be productive? And today we'll look to see, take his temperature even more, and just see where he's at, and see how many days he still may need or not to make a decision if we want to carry him until that day takes place. And then Michael's through a side yesterday, felt really good. Was encouraged about it. It's going to throw a simulated game on Sunday, 3-ish innings, 45 pitches or so, and it's just about recovery. If he has a setback, and clearly that's not good, but the knee's doing better. It's starting to stabilize a little bit more, be more consistent when he leans on it with his maximum effort. So it's just about recovery for Michael.
And did Toddy get a good night's sleep? Because he was having none of it when he heard you said you were ready to play the Dodgers last night. He wanted another day before he had to get back on the field.
Yeah, I'm sure Toddy's fine. I'm sure I don't know. I didn't tuck him in.
No, he was teasing me a little bit. He rolled his eyes. No, I'm not ready to go play the Dodgers yet. I need my beauty sleep. Mike, appreciate it. Good luck this weekend.
Thanks for bringing that up.
Thank you. Yeah, you're welcome.
Take care.
Yeah. All right.